This is going to be a little weird, but let's take a look at the worst possible path you can take as an artist. Because unfortunately, that's the path that most artists will take without even realizing it. But if you recognize yourself at any point in what I'm about to describe, don't worry. I'll show you exactly how to get back on track. I've been teaching art professionally for many years now. I've mentored hundreds of students, worked at different studios, and I've seen the same patterns over and over. Talent isn't what separates successful artists versus struggling ones. No, it's the path they choose. And unfortunately, most will choose the worst one. So let's see what that looks like exactly. The first step on the worst path is, well, never posting or just never sharing your art because it's not good enough yet. But meanwhile, completely missing what people want to actually see. This is probably one of the most common ways that artists sabotage themselves. They'll create art in a bubble, never really testing what resonates with people, never learning what works and what doesn't. They think that if they make it just perfect enough, people will magically discover and love it. But here's the reality. You need to figure out what your audience responds to, like what subjects grabs people's attention, what gets them to stop scrolling, because a loose sketch of the right subject will often get way more engagement than a polished painting of something that nobody cares about. And well, the only way to figure that out is to keep testing the waters constantly, posting regularly, seeing what hits, what falls flat. Because we're artists, we're entertainers, and if we're not entertaining people, then we're failing. So the better path would be to post regularly, even if your art isn't perfect. Every post will teach you a little something about what people want to see. And then from there, you can track engagement, what falls flat, what people comment on, course correct based on real feedback, not what you think people will like, because most of the time you'll get it wrong, but what you know people will like based on what they've communicated with you. But that's not the path we're on. Let's continue on the worst path. So the second step on this path will be to stick to the same subject, same styles, same comfort zone, basically creating art that is boring. Artists on the wrong path just keep drawing the same things that everybody else is drawing, never really trying anything new. And this is obviously bad because here's what happens. The longer people have been looking at art, the more they've seen. And so your audience kind of gets harder to impress over time. The better path, of course, would be to not be boring, do more research, push your ideas a little further, make something that hasn't been done 1,000 times before. Not being boring is hard, but being boring is a dead end. So pick your path carefully. Of course, I'd recommend this path, but let's take this one once again. Now, here's where artists really start sabotaging their future, jumping straight to advanced techniques without practicing the basics. They want to draw or paint like their favorite artist immediately, so they're gonna skip learning perspective, anatomy, value, color theory. They try to copy advanced work without really understanding why it works. Kind of like trying to write a novel before learning the grammar. But I get it, it looks more fun to just start painting. And the better path would be to learn the fundamentals first, or at least as soon as you run into something that you're struggling with. Learning perspective, anatomy, color theory, storytelling, design, etc. Of course, it's not as sexy as painting epic fantasy scenes, but it's the foundation that everything else is built on. It's what will allow you to paint epic stuff. This path doesn't look too inviting, let's take it. All right, here's a more subtle one maybe, but one that will slow your progress down to a crawl. It's basically going through life with your eyes closed. Metaphorically, artists on the wrong path will see the same thing as everything else, but fail to observe anything. They'll walk past something that has incredible lighting. Maybe sitting in a cafe, they'll see somebody with a really cool pose, maybe wearing a really colorful outfit that just looks very aesthetic, but will fail to learn anything from it. Their visual library will basically stay empty while the world keeps providing just endless free education, endless references. So the better path is to become obsessed with observing. Constantly seek and collect information from what you see. Don't just look at things, but analyze why they look the way they do. Why does this pose look static versus that one that looks much more dynamic? Just starting to practice observation alone will double or triple how fast you learn. I've said this before, but observation is probably one of the most important art skills there is. But who cares? Let's keep going in this terrible path. Here's where most artists will destroy their own potential by treating art like they treat watching TV. I'll draw when I feel like it. I should practice some more. Maybe tomorrow. This is the mindset that will keep amateurs amateur forever. You'll never develop the discipline needed to improve because art will remain something that you should do, not something that you must do. And to be fair, that might be fine by you. Maybe you don't really care to improve art that much at all. Maybe art is more like therapeutic for you, and that's cool too. But if you're more like me, hungry to improve and see results like fast, because I don't have much time in the day. If I'm gonna do something, I want it to bear as many fruits as possible. And for that, well, you gotta get more serious about it. Artists on the better path would have like a schedule that they stick to. Good artists have the same discipline about their practice that others do about their workouts. Because when you do something regularly for long enough, it kind of becomes a habit. It becomes a part of who you are, to the point where you'll move things out of the way to be able to do art instead of doing the opposite. But anyways, let's keep going down this path here. Seems inviting. Here's where artists will waste years of their lives. Not like actually, but you know, losing years of practice. And it's when they can't answer this simple question: why are you drawing? They might bounce around from style to style. Although I do that too. Like subject to subject with no clear direction. Like someone interested in becoming like a concept artist for video games, but all they'll be doing is drawing like cute portraits or fan arts of their favorite characters. There's a mismatch between your goal and what you're doing to get there. And maybe that is the problem, that there's no goal. Therefore, you can't really create an efficient path to get there. You're just kind of wandering around hoping like something good will happen. But the better path obviously would be to have a goal. And even if you don't have a goal just yet, maybe that should be your goal. To find your goal, to actively look for it. Try different things, maybe learn about different career paths. Again, it might be just as a hobby, but what the heck are you working towards? Because once you know, you'll be able to create an efficient plan to get there instead of wasting time on irrelevant skills. All right, let's go this way. Oh no. Here's how you make your art journey as difficult as possible. Do it completely alone. No community, no connections, no feedback, no opportunities. Artists on the wrong path choose isolation, making their art journey a solo journey that is unnecessarily hard. They'll miss out on the motivation that a community brings and the different like social pressures that will force you, push you to create at your best. Don't be an art hermit. The better path is to connect with others. Join communities, Discord servers, like forums even. Be a part of a group of peers that are around your level and help each other grow. Opportunities come from connections, and working as part of a community is a massive motivation boost. And by the way, if you're looking for like the best art community that you can find online, maybe more structure to your art studies, a professionally crafted study schedule maybe, then you should check out my art program with the link in the video description. If you find my YouTube content helpful, it's just a tiny fraction of all the knowledge packed into this massive program that you can get for a massive discount for just a couple more days only. Check it out with the link below to know exactly when the sale ends and see why over 28,000 students have joined so far. And talking about communities and opportunities, just a fun fact, but many students in our private school Discord have, ended up banding together and working together in the industry, connecting on different projects, and it's just been awesome. And all of this because they chose the better path to come together, to join a community. All right, let's try this one. So step 8 on the worst path is maybe the most dangerous, and it's falling victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect. Thinking you know more than you do. And really that should be the telltale sign. Doesn't even need to be about art specifically, but if you ever find yourself thinking like, I know enough about this, like I got this. No point in learning more, like it'll be diminishing returns. Well, at that moment, you're probably at the peak of Mount Stupid. Artists on this path won't see critique because they'll think that they're good enough already, but they're failing to understand that they're only seeing like the tip of the knowledge iceberg, the part that's hidden and unknown and much larger. The better path, of course, would be to seek critique and be humble. Unless you're already a master artist, which you're not. There's gonna be a ton you don't know. And even more you don't know that you don't know. What? You'll gain so much by understanding this and actively seeking feedback to help reveal your blind spots. There are many of them. All right, let's go over here. Oh no. Step 9 on the worst path. Treating art like it exists in a vacuum. So these artists will wonder like why their amazing art gets 12 likes, while maybe not so amazing art will get thousands. They have no real understanding of how the social media algorithm work, what even is supply and demand, like other basic marketing concepts. They'll feel helpless when their art doesn't get any attention. And actually, this is something that most artists do very poorly at. It's like personal finances. Like, it's kind of hard to find somebody who's got their finances in order, like not being behind on credit card payments, that kind of stuff. So yeah, the better path here would be to learn the basics of marketing and advertising. This is huge. They'll understand that there is a massive supply of art online, even more so now with all the AI garbage everywhere. So you'll need to work on the demand for your art. Find your niche, your audience. Maybe learn why people behave the way they do towards art. A little psychology, because nobody tells us to learn marketing as artists, but those who do have a much higher chance of becoming successful. But that's not the path for me right now. I want to take this one. The final step on the worst path. Seeing art and feeling discouraged instead of feeling motivated. Letting envy eat you alive instead of helping you fuel your passion. These artists will look at impressive work and think, I'll never be that good. Instead of thinking to themselves, oh, that's achievable with hard work. Clearly, somebody's done it. I just gotta find out how to do it. I'll be able to do it myself. They get stuck in this comparison trap and never move forward. So the better path here obviously would be to turn envy into motivation. Maybe a little easier said than done, but just gotta remember that every artist you admire had to work incredibly hard to get to where they are. Use their success as proof that reaching a higher level is achievable, not as evidence that you're inadequate. Oh no, we're dead. Look, nobody is a bad artist if they recognize themselves in some of these patterns, but the difference between artists who succeed and those who don't isn't talent. It's just choosing the right path. Artists who will stay stuck are those that look at all of these things, become aware of all of this stuff, and still choose to do nothing about it. Because as soon as you start working on all the things we've seen so far, you're on the right track. So which of these hit closest to home for you? Let me know in the comments. I'm always gathering data. And as usual, I always read every message. But yes, there you go. I guarantee recognizing the pattern is half the battle. So just don't take the worst path. And to help you with that, maybe you're struggling with anatomy. Well, you should check out the video I posted last week about common anatomy mistakes. That's gonna appear right here in a second. I'll see you there.